Imagine this. You're walking into a cafe for a blind date, your heart thumping, palms sweating, hoping it won't be another disaster. But what if I told you the girl sitting across that table deliberately tried to make herself look unattractive? And still, she ended up stealing his heart? Stay till the end, because what happened that day might just change how you see love forever. And if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful moments of kindness and emotion. It all started on a chilly afternoon in downtown Chicago. The chandeliers of the cafe shimmered above elegant tables, the air thick with the soft aroma of roasted coffee and quiet laughter. Across one of those tables sat Emily, nervous, withdrawn, and wearing a loose gray hoodie that swallowed her frame. Her hair was messy, her face bare, not a trace of makeup, and her jeans had a faded tear near the knee. She looked like someone who didn't care, someone trying to blend into the background. But that was exactly her plan. Emily had been burned by love too many times. Each time she put effort into looking beautiful, men saw her as a trophy, not a person. They admired her face but never cared for her heart. So, when her best friend set her up on a blind date with someone she described as the nicest guy ever, Emily made a decision. She'd go as herself. No makeup, no curls, no fancy dress. She wanted to test if someone could still see her worth without the glamour. And then he walked in. Daniel. He had that easy confidence about him, the kind that doesn't come from arrogance but from kindness. His blue shirt was neatly pressed, his smile genuine, and when his eyes found hers, something shifted in the air. He walked up with a warmth that instantly softened the room. "Emily?" he asked, his voice steady and gentle. She nodded, still a bit guarded. He sat across from her, and for a few moments, silence filled the space between them. She expected the usual flicker of disappointment, the subtle change in expression when a man realizes his date isn't dolled up. But it never came. Daniel smiled, not out of politeness, but with genuine interest. "I'm really glad you came," he said, and his eyes meant it. Emily looked down, trying to hide her awkward smile. "I wasn't sure if I should," she admitted. Daniel chuckled softly. "Blind dates are always risky. Either you end up with a great story or free coffee." She couldn't help but laugh. The tension melted a little. He was funny, but not in the show-off kind of way. He was simply real. As the minutes turned into hours, something unexpected happened. Emily found herself talking. Really talking. About her job at the animal shelter, her love for painting, her fear of being judged for who she wasn't. And Daniel listened. Not with half attention or polite nods, but with genuine curiosity. Every time she looked up, she found him leaning in slightly, eyes soft, expression open. He wasn't looking at her hoodie or her undone hair. He was looking at her. Midway through their coffee, he smiled again and said, "You know, you're really beautiful when you talk about things you love." Emily froze for a second. Beautiful? She wasn't trying to be. She almost wanted to ask if he was teasing her, but his tone carried no mockery. It was quiet, sincere. That one sentence pierced through the walls she had built. "I didn't try to be," she murmured. "Maybe that's why you are," he replied softly. The simplicity of his words left her speechless. By the end of their meeting, Emily felt something she hadn't in years. Peace. Not the kind that comes from romance or attraction, but the peace of being accepted, completely and effortlessly. When Daniel walked her out of the cafe, he didn't rush for a hug or a number. Instead, he said, "I'd really like to see you again, but only if you want to." She nodded, smiling shyly. "Maybe next time I'll brush my hair," she joked. He grinned. "Only if you want to ruin the mystery." Over the next few weeks, they met again and again. Sometimes at the same cafe, sometimes at the park near the lake. Daniel learned that Emily had been raised by her grandmother after her parents' accident, that she had once dreamed of becoming an artist before life forced her into practicality. Emily learned that Daniel worked in architecture, but spent weekends volunteering at homeless shelters. The more they spoke, the more it became clear. They were both healing in their own ways. One evening, they walked by the lake, watching the sunset reflect over the calm water. Emily turned to him and said, "You never asked why I looked like a mess that day we met." Daniel smiled faintly. "Because I didn't see a mess. I saw someone brave enough to be real." She looked down, her eyes glistening. "I was trying to look unattractive. I wanted to see if someone could still like me without all the layers." He took a breath and stepped closer. "And I fell harder than I ever have in my life." Her tears broke into a laugh, half in disbelief, half in relief. The truth she had been afraid to share became the very thing that connected them. Months passed, and what started as a test of honesty turned into a love story built on raw truth. There were no filters, no pretenses, just two imperfect people learning that love doesn't need perfection. Years later, as Emily stood in front of a small art exhibit, her own, funded by Daniel's quiet encouragement, she looked at him from across the room. He was helping guests, smiling proudly, the same way he did that first day in the cafe. She realized something profound. She had tried to hide her beauty, but he had seen it before even she could. Not the kind of beauty that fades with time, but the one that comes from kindness, courage, and truth. So, if you've ever felt like you're not enough, like the world only values the perfect version of you, remember Emily, remember Daniel, because the right person won't need you to shine under the spotlight. They'll love you in the shadows, in the quiet, in the moments you think you look your worst. And maybe, just maybe, that's when you'll realize you were beautiful all along. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that remind us what real love looks like. Because sometimes, the most beautiful things happen when we finally stop trying to look perfect.